Hello again, this is Erin Lundy. I am a physical therapist with Milestone Therapy Inc. And today's fun home exercise tutorial is going to be about crawling with my assistant, Miss Alexis here. So we're going to go through two different techniques that you'll see emerge for your child when they're learning how to crawl. So around 7 months, you're going to start to see them do this kind of crawl where they just basically are on their bellies, and it kind of looks like an army crawl, or they call it a commando crawl. And they just kind of go on their belly, moving their hands and their feet that way. And then around 8 to 9 months, you're going to see them pop up onto their knees and their hands. And this one's called, we call it reciprocal creeping, or you can just say like hands and knees crawling, whatever works for you. And that basically is what you think of with stereotypical crawling, where they're up on their hands and their knees and they're able to crawl that way. So much about crawling plays into so many other important aspects of their lives. So it plays into their ability to have good handwriting, reading skills, things you don't think about like that. And then also about having strong back muscles, strong core muscles, and it's going to reduce the risk for falling later on. So Miss Alexis and I have a lot to show you here. So buckle up. From the very beginning, how do you promote crawling? Well, guess what? You place them on their bellies and let them try to explore. I would just limit the use of containers, how long they're spent in different seats. And question I get from parents a lot is, well, what if my child just completely skips crawling? Is that a problem? Is that a big deal? And the answer is, well, we can work around it, but there's some things that we need to make sure we mitigate as much as we possibly can. So, for example, some of those things are if your child doesn't learn how to crawl, then the muscles between their shoulder blades don't really develop that much. And it looks like this. This is not normal. This is called wing scapula. This is the child's back, and that's their shoulder blades sticking out of their back because their back muscles are so weak. And this is a 6-year-old child. This is not an infant. So it's something that can carry through the rest of their life. So I would talk with your physical therapist about this and make sure that you're addressing the components that come from not learning how to crawl, and we can work on those kind of things. So the next technique that we're going to work on are just basically using nothing other than your hands just to help your child learn how to crawl and to weight shift. And this can be applied for if your child is just belly crawling, and then we can ramp it up for the next phase whenever they start doing that reciprocal creeping, getting up on their hands and their knees. You're going to start out having your child placed on their belly like this. Alexis is doing a great job so far. And if she wants to try to start crawling, they can try to start figuring it out. But one of the techniques that I like to use is just using the sides of your hands and just going up and down to basically cue that weight shifting. So what it looks like is as she's crawling like this. So that way they can learn how to move their leg up and down. She's a lifeless doll with no muscles, and I'm even able to be successful with it. So imagine a human child being able to perform this. Now let's say that your child has been crawling, commando crawling, or army crawling on their belly beautifully. They have no problem with that, but they're really having a tough time transitioning to that next phase where they would need to be able to pop up on their hands and their knees. Having your child go from belly crawling to being more comfortable and stronger up on their hands and their knees is while they're laying flat here, again, just at rest, you use your hands, like again, the cupping pattern around their hips, and put your thumbs on the back of their bottom. And I basically am going like this. So like that, and then like this. And see how easily I'm able to do this, again, with Miss Alexis here. She's a superstar. These kids are not heavy, so their strength of their body is going to be able to be held up by your hands. So what you're going to do is hold them up. So as they're crawling, you're just lifting them up. She's going to want to try to go forward in that commando crawling. You say, nope, we're going to keep popping up. And then you still use that same principle of moving your hands up and down, but now your hands are cupped around their hips. So going weight shifting, rocking like that. And you're basically going to be rocking and rolling before you know it. Another fun technique to increase your child being on their knees and their hands to help promote that knee and hand crawling is using a pillow. So you have a pillow here, and it's extra points if you get one with texture like this one. And you place your child, again, on their knees, and then you have them basically be able to play up here. They get to play with a texture. You can put fun stuff up here like crinkle books, or even I've had parents use like chip bags because apparently that's really fun for kids like this. Oh, and Alexis loves this. Look how fun this is. Don't have a pillow that you want to be able to use, you can also use a shoebox or a diaper box or any kind of box that's going to help your child be more upright and be able to sit back on their knees. So again, helping your child onto their knees here You want to have something fun up here that they can play with. It can be a toy, it can be a wrapper, whatever works for your child. They make them really excited. And a key component here too that I see a lot of times with parents is that they'll sometimes put their kid all the way back here with their knees back here. And guess what that looks like? It looks like this with the frog legs. We don't want that. We want something a little bit more structured. Make it a little easier on your kid. So scooch their knees really close, kind of button up against here, and they can do that because what's happening is they're strengthening all of these backside muscles and their hip muscles and their core muscles by sitting up. So all of these things play into being able to crawl, and then from there, going right into standing. So the next fun technique you can do involves using a towel, or you can even have like a blanket, or I've even seen some people just use their bed sheet or a pillowcase because they didn't have anything else. We can work with it all. So what you're gonna do is drape it underneath your kid's hips. And it's kind of a trial and error. Every kid's different. Sometimes they prefer it like a little bit more across their belly muscle. Sometimes they just need a little bit of support up here. But let's say that your arms are getting really tired from holding your kid up this whole time. Just use a towel. When she's gonna try to start going down on her belly, you're gonna use this towel as a hoist to kind of pull her up. So it's just an easier way to take some pressure off your hands. So again, Alexis doesn't have any muscles, and I'm able to hold her entire body up just using this towel technique, going like this, and basically I work with her weight shifting as she's crawling. So let's say she's trying to go this way, I work with her and lift her up that way. So that might be a little easier solution. And because we love pillows so much, we're going to work on reciprocal crawling with a pillow obstacle course. And when I say reciprocal crawling, what I mean is opposite arm, opposite leg. So she's learning how to move her arms and her legs at the opposite side. And that's going to help promote her crawling ability. So you place them here, and then you're going to put something fun all the way over there, something that really is a high motivator for them. So it's teaching them how to be able to lift up their leg in order to crawl up here, and then they can push themselves up. And of course, you can be there to help assist them. So it's really fascinating watching kids learn how to problem solve through all this. And another fun way you can use something that's probably around your house is using stairs to promote that reciprocal pattern. Again, opposite arm, opposite leg, learning how that whole motion works for crawling. What you're going to do is help position them at the bottom of your stairs, help them get into that kneeling position. And what they're going to do is they're going to be like, hey, what's something really fun up here that you're going to have placed on the stairs? And what you're going to have the kid do, and you can again help them, is you try to lift up this leg so maybe she can be like, oh man, I want to get up here. And then she's learning that again, moving her arms and her legs, and it makes it a little bit easier for her since it's at a grade, and there's a high sense of reward once they get up there. Again, safety point, as a parent, you do not want your child to be practicing this by themselves. So I always say stand below and to the side of your child, going up and down. Anytime you guys are practicing this, this is where you need to be. Now, let's say that your child is still really low tone, meaning that their muscles don't pull as strong at rest. It makes crawling a little bit harder, and their legs tend to splay out to the sides like a frog leg whenever they crawl. Their legs basically want to splay out to the sides like this. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold up the towel or the sheet or whatever you choose and use your feet to push her legs in together, so that way she can learn that crawling pattern and strengthen those muscles in all the right ways. And now let's say that your child is having a really tough time coordinating bringing their feet forward. Sometimes the cue is as easy and simple as just taking their leg and manually moving their foot forward. And then their arms will try to follow. And then you do the same thing, moving their knees and their hips like this. So that way they can learn how to try to coordinate that and really use those lower belly muscles to try to help push themselves forward. Because kids with such low tone have a really difficult time with the crawling, that transition from crawling on their belly to going up on their hands and their knees, there are a couple other little extra techniques that you can use and your therapist can recommend. One, for example, is called the hip helper. And again, I have no affiliation with hip helpers. I just use these a ton with my kids on my caseload, and it's just it's just created some phenomenal results that I've been really impressed with. So as you can see, there's a seam that goes right down the middle of the pants, and it's these little shorts that are made by actually by a physical therapist. And the seam actually is a little bit lower, so it pulls this child's legs together, and it helps promote crawling. It helps promote strengthening all the muscles and all the different positions that we need in order to be successful with our stability for moving. And I've had some kids that after 3 days of wearing these, they can crawl independently without them and they look beautiful. Well, Alexis and I have had a great time hanging out with you guys today. So I really hope that this was able to be helpful and fun and informative and able to help your kids really get to that next level of being able to crawl and getting to witness that motor milestone with them. So very best of luck to you guys, and thank you so much for watching.